All right, guys, hope everybody's well. So I just wanted to come on and talk to you about our meeting that we had Wednesday with Governor Hochul's team. The purpose of this meeting was to speak about any funding that we had that was coming, or anything that we could tap into, different ideas of how gyms could get funding and small business in general. We wanted to speak about the landlord situation, what could be done with that. We also wanted to get a feel of the water for the new governor's thoughts about fitness, if she really understood the economic strain that happened to our industry, being that we were closed the longest, the amount of talk we got on the media from Governor Cuomo, how we were badmouthed, how we were dragged through the mud, and pretty much just the damage that's already done to our industry. And if she knew that, and what the governor was thinking about that. So when we met with them, that was a better part of our conversation. Really not rehashing everything, but just to talk about where we were, to be truthful and clear that our industry is decimated across the country, but specifically here in New York, where we lead the country in closures of gyms. We wanted to speak about the fact that we've been back and forth down to DC. We were very truthful and open about our lack of trust with the old administration and what we did, and how we got to this point. We also spoke about what was wrong, and kind of what happened, and where we should have been, and how come fitness itself and gyms itself should have had a seat at the table. And we had to make clear that this wasn't going to be a session of just bad mouthing or talking about what didn't happen, but what we did and how we can move forward, and why the United States Fitness Coalition, which is representing the majority of the boutique industry, needs to be at least involved in some of these conversations, or know or have a direction of where the state is going to go here. We used examples of PPP not working for our industry. We used examples of being one of 3 federally shut and the only one that didn't receive federal money, and just being given an EIDL. And we spoke at length of the EIDL because that kept on being brought up, that's out there for us. But the truth is, for our industry, for the boutique industry, let's not talk about the big guys for now. The EIDLs, guys, are very, very dangerous here. They are giving you a false sense that if we're taking this money of $100,000, $200,000, up to $2 million, well, you're saving what? A failing business, a business that may never come back. You still have to pay that money. And that money is basically larger than your rent, depending on how much of it that you're taking. And in the end is for what? You took a 30-year loan. And for those who think that, well, I could just walk away from it, that's really not true. We did speak about that. Although certain things don't have a personal guarantee, that doesn't mean anything. They still own your assets, they still own certain things, they will sell your equipment, and they can definitely still sue. Whether they decide to or not, that's another thing, and the personal guarantee would just simply mean they can't garnish your pay, take from your Social Security and things like that, but the government is going to want its money. So the EIDLs, really, thank you very much, but you just gave us another mortgage. So we spoke at length about that. We spoke at length about what we've done with the Department of Labor and how we've created the fitness apprenticeship program, and that they were very excited about, and a little bit more about that later. But that they were excited about because that gave them something to go back to the governor and say, this industry, which we forgot about because we forgot about, and that we closed for so long, they, instead of just sulking about everything, went and did something. So that was very good. We spoke about the bill down in Congress in DC, but on a federal level, that's great, but there really wasn't much to discuss here on a state level. All right. So what was their response back to that? How did I take that? What do I think is actually going to happen? So I will say this, that all these connections and all these things that we make, they serve the purpose of having a liaison to certain people. So we have a liaison to Senator Schumer, we have a liaison to Senator Cardin, who sits on the Small Business Committee. We have now a liaison for Governor Hochul and some of the potential mayor candidates for New York City, in Jersey as well, in California as well. So all these things help us when we want to be involved in things, and we want to know things, and we want to be having information on bills and things that are coming down. So it was good in that sense. it did go to show that the state really has no idea. The state honestly has no idea the economic disaster that it created. And what do I mean by that? The federal government shut us from March to September. Anything after September was by the state. So everything from September on is on your state that you live in. And here in New York, parts of us weren't allowed to open up until about a month or so ago. That is devastating. And they, for some reason, fitness isn't thought of as a real industry. It's just not, guys. It's I don't care what we personally think about it. It's just not. It's not like the restaurants. It's not like entertainment. It's just an afterthought. And that comes across pretty clear, that we weren't thought of in the terms of, getting aid to. We weren't thought of in terms of this industry is going to need something to survive, because we're not looked at as an industry. We're looked at several businesses that do fitness, but not an industry that's under one umbrella, similar to, let's say, restaurants or hotels or the entertainment industry, right? So we're considered yoga and Pilates and mixed martial arts. So we're a bunch of separate people that do fitness. That's why they were very excited with the fitness apprenticeship program. So we spoke at length about that. We spoke at length about the $800 million plan, and that $50,000 just wasn't enough. That's actually ridiculous for being shut all those extra months. Again, we need to speak about the time that we were closed by the state from September on. We can't speak about federally because that's a whole nother issue. So, we spoke about how that wasn't enough. We spoke about how the EIDL that was forgivable needs to be, those restrictions need to be released, because there is a ton of money sitting in the EIDL that is forgivable, but because of the requirements, it's just sitting there because no one can meet them. So our suggestion is to change it and allow everybody to apply for it, because in this instance, if you own a business and you had losses, you should be able to apply, and that should go for anybody, anywhere, as long as it's in New York State. So that was our recommendation for that needs to be addressed. We spoke at length and back and forth. We had some communication about landlords, that when the banks were given part of the CARES Act, that money should have gone to the landlords, and that we now need to figure out somehow in this state where the banks can bail out the landlords, because my co-chair Steve Stone was there, and he said something that I think resonated with the team, and that was that in order for us to move forward as an industry, we have to fix the past. And what that means is we have to be made whole before we can have the ability to move forward. I'm very honest with everybody on here as far as my situations and everything go. So at some point in time, money will dictate what we do here. Salary will dictate what we do, and it might not be whether I got or get any money or I've gotten any money. It's just going to be how we're going to move forward. But I can't move forward if I have this weight of $80,000, $100,000, for some of us $1 million in back rent that we're not going to pay, but they have the right to come after. So, the way he phrased it is, in order to have a future, in order to say we're going to make it through this and have a game plan, we need to have the state and the Fed take care of our past and fix it. Because again, we shut down and did this for no fault of our own. So they took that to heart, and I think that hit them as well. So we spoke about landlords and the way that we could make the landlords whole and how we should go about doing that. Because if the state goes ahead and gives us the money, let's say, the truth is that a lot of us would take the money, close up, and keep it. The restrictions on it would be a lot so that they could avoid that happening. It would be riddled with fraud, and that is what we've seen in these other programs. And it's no excuse, because you've now had the better part of a year to figure it out. But we don't. We just keep on rehashing the same programs that didn't work the first time, or that are unapplicable for 3/4 of the industry, instead of talking to the businesses. And this is what we had said. Instead of the governor, the old governor, this governor, speaking to the businesses or speaking to the leaders in the industry or coalitions or people to find out what would work, like the Small Business Committee has been doing in this new bill, by the way. They speak to us regularly and ask us questions. That is a step in the right direction, but the state never did that. New York never did that. So, that was a focal point. Also, what we spoke about and was well received was, what about the gyms who have already closed? You see, that's a problem for me, and that's a problem for a lot of people. I think it's unfair. I think if someone was a successful business in 2019, 2018, 2019, and then COVID comes and you can't survive, you have royalty fees, maybe you're a franchise and they're looking for that, the landlords are putting their thumb on you, you owed debt, you had these things, and you made a deal to get out and you had to close. That was of no fault of your own, but you're not eligible for any of these loans and grants or anything like that to bring back your business. So I think there should be something set up for people who want to bring back their business and find a way to give funding to those businesses, whether it be a cash flow or something that would allow them to reinvest, to reopen, to find a place to do so, whether that would be a loan with certain part of it forgivable for the amount of money that they lost. But there has to be a way, and it can't just be throwing our hands up and saying, well, we're going to forget about that sector. No one can be forgotten about over here. We understand that we're not going to be able to help everybody and save everybody. It's too difficult of a situation, and there is a lot involved. And I do, after speaking with all of these people, understand it. I understand their difficulty in a lot of things, but it's not an excuse. Your job is to figure it out and find a way. And if you're not going to involve people in it, then you're going to have the same problem and issue. We also found out that the previous administration wouldn't have met with us, and meaning us, the coalition, this coalition. He was afraid that we would have said something to upset him, make fun of him in some way, or cause a problem, which means that he knew about us, that he was aware of who we were, what we were doing. And I will say that brings some joy to my heart in knowing that. But we did stress to the governor's team that that's not where we are now, that's not what we want to, where we want to be and what we're about. We want to be able to move forward in a way that represents the entire industry. And we may have been given a green light to be a part of some ongoing business meetings that would be with the governor, with a select few that would come there and discuss certain things that are going on with the city and the state to revitalize businesses and small businesses. So that was very good. At the end of that, we got a whole list of what the state is still offering. Now listen, this is, to me, this is a lot of just, I don't know, more just stuff out there that doesn't really help everybody. I will be sending that to every single United States Fitness Coalition member, where you can apply for all these different things. A lot of it has to do more on the tax credit side. And part of it actually is a tax credit for apprenticeship programs, because apprenticeship programs are how businesses get made and industries get made inside every single state. So unfortunately for us, it's not, no one here is that yet because we just created it, but you'll see by reading that what that means and what that does. There are workforce tax credits, there are end of year tax credits, there are loans you can take, there are businesses or things, committees that were formed to help you, give you ideas with the Department of Labor. So we will be sending that to everybody. Some of it may help. Won't help everybody, but some of it may help. I still think it's kind of geared towards the larger corporations, but for the mid-range and up, it may help as well and give you an idea of certain things that you can file for and apply for. Outside of that, it was a lot of what we knew. We did find out that there is possibility of another grant for small businesses being somewhere between the range of $10,000 to $25,000 to $30,000. That should be coming out relatively shortly. So there is the idea of some more funding. And then it is just about trying to find a way to revitalize this industry. And we asked that the governor meet with us and that the governor take a position that taking care of your health, your fitness, your nutrition is going to be paramount in the coming months and the years ahead. We were told from them that that has been spoken about, that the governor does realize that fitness is going to play a part. However, she hasn't been very vocal as far as I'm concerned with that. So there you have it, guys. that's what we discussed. That was what was said. I don't find it to be something that was a waste of our time. I don't think any of these meetings or any of these things are a waste of our time, because they're just making the acquaintances that you need to, because this is just unfortunately how things work. We will be looking to get back into DC sometime at the end of this month, beginning of December, before the passage of either the debt ceiling or the fiscal end of the year budget, because that is where our bill will be attached. Once I have been told that that bill is complete, I will let you guys know. What I know, you guys know. So all of our United States Fitness Coalition members will receive the list from Governor Hochul's office of everything that you can apply for, you can look for, avenues of help. And of course, if anybody needs anything, has any questions, reach out to me. Feel free to ask. We are here. We're continuing to fight. We're continuing to push forward. We ask that you please help us and push the coalition and help donate for the coalition. Send it out to friends and family. Ask people to come to the page to help donate, so that we can continue to do the things that we're doing. And that's where we're at, guys. So that was our meeting. Wish everybody a great weekend, and if anybody has any questions, please give me a call.